I'm going to read an excerpt from my novel Yams Do Not Exist. This part is called The Heart of Harkness. It was the cruelest month, which is to say National Poetry Month, a blessing and a curse for all concerned, and especially those unconcerned. Accordingly, Farinata had ejected himself off the number 66 at Harkness Station to escape some kind of irritant, be it lotion, perfume, or shampoo, and observed one other person in the transparent anteroom, lest we call it his shelter of exile. At first he thought it was a young man in a cap, but under closer inspection it turned out to be a young woman in a tarbouche. This did not appear to be any sort of traditional decision, and he could only think of Sainte-Beuve's appraisal of Flaubert's penchant for such headgear. "Hark! Do you know what Harkness means?" Was he not at the helm of some grand ship? Good guess, but it's probably toponymic. Harkness, or dweller at the Temple Headland in the old tongue. God's hooks. Hark! Like my hat? The spit of Flaubert. My sentiments exactly. She eyed his ring nervously, evidence of a terrible upset, whereby several shortlisted writers had fallen out of the running due to some mysterious ailment or calamity, and Farinata had risen to the forefront of those considered worthy to wear the Aleph Beth ring. There's a footnote here about that. Sadly, this much-coveted prize for unusual literature has no definite origin story. We are able to reassure ourselves that Winnipeg has absolutely nothing to do with it. Frequently repeated rumors put its means of distribution on either side of the most fluent vowels of the Outaouais. Farinata had risen to the forefront of those considered worthy to wear the Aleph Beth ring, though we cannot stress this enough, more as a finger model than as unanimously declared recipient, for a period not exceeding 1 year, until the next champion of versification could be found amid the wilds of life. One limited time advantage of this alphabetical bling was its ability to bend poets to the will of its bearer. The young woman put her tarbouche at a rakish angle, steeling herself to fight off the ring's great attraction, and introduced herself as Jade Garland, hailing from Kansas or Idaho or some other agricultural haven. In addition to half-assed handshakes, partial curtsies were exchanged. "You know my books, I trust?" "Yes and no. There are so many brilliant books, especially at this time of year. It really gets me down." Without prevarication, she admitted that such books were there for the consumption. Without the gestalt of those words, there could be no grand recombinant project. Farinata raised an eyebrow and coughed politely. Another proponent of erasure poetics he did not need. Not to say they could not dip a biscuit or break bannock if the impetus arose. It did. Jade was tossed a tasty bone, the opportunity to interview Farinata about how it felt to nearly win something for roughly half a life's travail. Neutral territory had been agreed upon. Jade was morally opposed to making a trip to River Heights, what she thought of as a stone hammer's throw away from a former indigenous ghetto known as Rooster Town, and by now rightfully reclaimed by our pioneer, or so we like to believe. High upon this hillock, or butte, Farinata ruled with wisdom. Had his private life been able to withstand an ounce of scrutiny, he would have succumbed to the few enthusiasts who wanted him to run for public office. As such, his executive decision was to return to Jade's neighborhood. He hopped off the bus when he recognized the Flaubertian tip-off at the junction of 4 traffic arterials. Jade was standing there, transfixed. Farinata also fell into a stupor as he peered up and saw that the wealthy woman with her diamonds of choice had been replaced by the grinning Mädchen raising a steaming mug of how do you do. Apparently she had a new gig at the cafe down the road, and the owners were requisitioning her wholesome looks to move product. We rejoice in the knowledge that he would not have pimped out his heart's desire so readily. However, he was not about to spend all day drooling over a billboard, not when there was more than just himself to watch out for. Happens to the best of us. Huh? Confusion Corner has sealed the fate of far heartier souls. They went single file along Osborne. Is it so terrible to evoke the tugging of a lead or the holding of a piece of sugar under the nose? In any case, Jade followed the way a goat follows a donkey at nose and trusts, drawn forward by the gleaming letters of the Aleph Beth ring. Farinata was doing fine until he perceived the nearby presence of the Mädchen. He reared up, raising his hooves. Jade waited patiently until the erotic shock had tapered off. A lifeline emerged in the kitty-corner competitor, Grounds for Delight. The flame that wavered within the Aleph Beth finalist shot up again as a ginger-haired woman leaned over the counter, flashing her amplitude. "Jade Garland, unreal! What can I do for you?"